Welcome to the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. I'm your host, Steph Wharton. Join me as we dive into how to become a widely in-demand CEO that prioritizes balance between life and business, isn't afraid of making the scary decisions that get you results you actually care about, and unapologetically breaks the rules to build the business and life of your dreams. We all have dreams. We all have things that we desire that are perhaps different to what our reality is right now. Some of you want to travel. Some of you want to move to Bali, to live in Mexico, to maybe run your own business full time through Lisbon or out of Italy, whatever that might be. Some of you perhaps don't want to travel, and that is totally cool. I cannot relate, but it's totally cool. Maybe you just want to buy a house. Maybe you want to start a family. Maybe you want to retire a significant other. Whatever that is this dream, this goal, this aspiration that you have, this desire to have a different type of lifestyle compared to what you perhaps have right now. It doesn't mean what you have right now sucks. It just means you want more. You want something different, something perhaps even less traditional, if you're anything like me. But the reason I'm talking about dreams and goals is that there's this really cool concept. I'm sure you've heard of it, but it's manifesting. So it's creating those desires, making them a reality. And disclaimer, I am not an expert in manifestation in general. Who knows? Maybe one day I will be, right? But for now, I have had different experiences, whether intentional or unintentional, where I manifested things. I made certain dreams a reality. And for those that haven't quite practiced, let's say, manifesting as a daily practice or just once or twice in a blue moon, what I can do right now is share a little bit of a background so that we can all be on the same page with my previous experience, my previous knowledge into how certain things have come to be. So really, if we want to just break it down, it's the entire concept around the fact that thoughts are going to influence your feelings, which influence action, which influence the results. So if we want to, again, break this down and really simply put, manifesting is about having certain thoughts, certain conversations that you're having with yourself. And through that, you're starting to manifest those thoughts becoming your reality. So if you want to move to Bali, you'd be having thoughts around that. Like, I'm going to live in Bali. I am going to go full time in my business and work remotely, etc., etc. Those thoughts, you then follow them up with the feelings and fully embodying the fact that you know how that's going to feel. How's it going to feel to, let's say, live in Bali? How's it going to smell? How's it going to look like? What am I going to be doing every day, etc. So that you start to really, on an emotional level, start to feel what that reality would be like. And then next step further, it's tying that with the action, taking aligned action, as in not just expecting that dream, that reality to fall into your lap, but actually doing the work to make it happen. So those thoughts, those feelings, those actions, all leading into the result, which is manifesting that reality to move to Bali, to reach that goal. So now that we're all on the same page, manifesting, honestly, coolest thing ever. I have unintentionally, as in I wasn't doing this on purpose. I didn't even think this was ever going to happen. I manifested moving from the city, from Toronto, moving across the country, uprooting my entire life, quitting my 9-to job, going full-time in my business, and moving to beautiful Kelowna, BC. For those of you that don't know Kelowna, it is gorgeous out here. You are surrounded by stunning mountains that are huge. If you know the Rockies, you're surrounded by the Rockies. You're surrounded by mountains. The weather is so nice, so warm and dry. So it's not like humid and sticky, which is perfect for me because I love to just hang out outdoors, enjoy the sun, get a nice tan, and just soak in and relax. And there's beaches and cherry on top, there are so many vineyards. I think there are like over 200 different wineries all across the interior region, which means I'm literally in heaven. Like, come on. Summer, mountains, adventure, beach, wine. Like, what more could I ask for? So now, there's a cool thing about how we ended up moving here. Like I said earlier, I never actually expected us to move or to even quit. At that time, the business, although yes, it was running successfully and I was landing clients and I was getting paid and I was having fun, it was more so a hobby. It was more so, let's not even call it a hobby because I was getting paid. It was a side hustle. And I didn't know that I was going to go full time, not fully, not consciously. But the way that it all ended up unraveling is for a couple of years. So at this time, we were engaged to be married and we lived downtown, both had full-time, very successful jobs, careers. It was great. We were living the life. But I had this little desire, this dream that again I never thought would become a reality of living somewhere warm. Like I wanted to, honestly, I wanted to live in Spain because I figured that would be an amazing country to live in. They speak Spanish. I speak Spanish. The culture is incredible. The food's incredible. They have a lot of wine. They're in Europe. So they're close to so many other countries. Like we can actually travel every weekend if we really wanted to. And it would be a great chance to live a more free and relaxing lifestyle while being able to quote unquote practice my Spanish. Because by this point, I honestly feel like I'm really, really losing it. So I'm like, you know what? Dream life. So I would talk about it, I'd be like, oh, haha, it'd be so nice to live in Spain, or it'd be so nice to live anywhere in Italy, in Greece. Like, I don't care, just somewhere beautiful, warm, where there's beaches and we can, I would laugh about this. We can retire and just own like a little tiki hut and like make custom drinks for everybody to come like purchase and hang out and like swim and whatnot. Maybe we can even do like stand-up paddleboarding lessons. Like I was building this entire like vision of what this would look like. But that's it. It was just a vision. It was just a fantasy. But whatever. Every couple weeks, every couple months, I would just kind of like plant that seed, and not strategically. It's not like I was, haha, like I'm going to plant the seed and this is going to bloom and we're going to move. No, it was just conversation. It was just one of those things. We would get home from work, pop open a bottle of wine, cut up some cheese and salami, sit there, vent about our shitty days, and then daydream about this so-called dream life. But what was really cool is after a very long time of just casually talking about this dream life, one day, I want to say it was exactly a month before our wedding date, my now wife sits me down and she goes, Steph, I want to talk to you about something, but I don't want you to get excited. I'm just going to tell you what I'm thinking, and I might change my mind, but I'm just really feeling called to share this right now. So I was like, okay, like what on earth are you talking about? So we sat down and she goes, let's move. I literally jaw dropped, like, what do you mean, let's move? She's like, I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit, of everything that's happening right now. Let's just move. Like, let's leave the city. Let's move to Spain. It's like, no way. I was shaking. I'm like, you're kidding me. This is actually happening. Like, I never actually thought we would do this. So here I am shaking with a silly face plastered all on my face, silly smile. And fine, I'm supposed to not get too excited. I'm supposed to just be grounded, but come on. Your wife tells you you're moving to Spain. That's pretty friggin' cool. So anyway, it was a month before the wedding. So we just go back to our normal routine. We plan everything. We have the wedding, like most amazing, incredible day ever. And we go on our honeymoon. So now the honeymoon, we went to Maui and we went for 2 weeks. We rented an Airbnb and we literally felt like we were living there. There was no pressure. We were so relaxed and taking it easy and having very slow days, but we were still cooking. We were still doing groceries. We were still, quote unquote, running errands. So it literally felt like a regular day in this dream life we now had for 2 weeks. So when we came back, it pretty much solidified that we were meant to have that kind of lifestyle. It wasn't just a fantasy anymore. It wasn't just a, hey, don't get too excited. It was a, you know what? This has to happen. So I can't remember now exactly the timeline, but I think when we got back, maybe 2 weeks later, a friend came to visit and we met up and we were just hanging out. It was honestly our first time meeting in person because we were online business besties. And she told us a story about how she had moved from the same town where we lived in to Kelowna a year ago. And she told us all about Kelowna, this random city slash, I like to call it a town because it's really, really small. This random city in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by mountains, completely isolated from like the big city civilization that we were used to. And she was like, you need to move here. And we didn't flat out laugh at her face, but like, we're like, oh, yeah, I don't know. And then we went home and we full on laughed. We're like, well, who does she think we are? We're going to move to the middle of nowhere, some random province, some random city that we've never even heard about. Like our family or friends, nobody had ever heard of this town. And we're like, yeah, okay. So then that entire week, we just kept talking and thinking about Spain. And honestly, timing wise, we would have had to get a lot of paperwork up and running and checked off a lot of things off of a list in order to make that happen. So, although doable, lots of people do that every day. We're like, I'm not willing to wait. I think at the time we would have had to wait like 3 months to get everything together from paperwork, move all our stuff, book our flights, and get admitted and go there. So we're like, no, I'm ready to leave now. Like, I'm done with corporate life. I'm done with city life. I want out of here. I want to sit on a beach. I want to just drink wine all day. Let's do this. So we're like, okay, moving locally would be easier. So initially we were looking at the States, but obviously the States was very complicated. So then we're like, all right, our friend said Kelowna. Let's look into that. Like, let's Google it for a second. So we did. We Googled it. We did a little bit of research. We went on their website. We looked at photos. We looked at like information on like temperature, like lifestyle, like all that stuff. And within that same day that we did that research, we decided we were moving to this town we had never, ever visited. We had never even heard of. The next Monday, 2 days later, we both quit our jobs, put in our notice for, I think we put in like 30 days notice because we had obviously really good relationships there and we had the time anyway. So we figured we're not going to leave them high and dry. We're going to help them out, wrap everything, pack all our stuff, and drive across the country. A 6-day drive, 2 people in a truck with a cat and whatever leftover belongings we didn't put in a U-Haul. My goodness. I honestly, just telling this story right now, like looking back, I cannot even believe that we went from working 7 and 9 years respectively at the same corporate office to then quitting that job blindly overnight, handing in a resignation, and 30 days later, driving across the country. It's the most, in my opinion, the craziest thing we've ever done. The most like, I'm literally like getting a little bit like excited / like shaky right now thinking about it. Best decision we've ever made. So let me wrap things back up, like going full circle. planting those seeds, having those thoughts, feeling excited about the notion of waking up and going to the beach and just having wine and going out for like random patio hangouts and all that good stuff. And then starting to take action, starting to do the research. But even before that, honestly, it was like the universe was conspiring to bring that to us, whether it was in the form of my wife suggesting, hey, let's maybe take this a little bit more seriously. Let's maybe actually consider moving, or in the form of the honeymoon that just really set us up to experience what this would truly be like, and everything else that came with it, the friend mentioning we should move, etc., etc. Every sign was just coming at us saying, this is the right time. This is exactly what you're meant to be doing. You're meant to quit your job. You're meant to go full time in your business. You are ready. You're meant to live a life full of freedom and adventure and excitement. And you're meant to experience new things. This is how you're meant to start to kick off your marriage. So we did it. We unintentionally, or I unintentionally, manifested moving across the country, moving to wine country, and kicking off literally the best phase of our lives. And something I'd love to share right now for anybody who wants to manifest something, whether you want to manifest moving across the country, moving to Bali, maybe it's not even moving, maybe you just want to manifest bigger success, bigger wealth in your business, or you want to manifest a family, whatever it is. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just worry about what you want, what you're desiring, how that feels, and release the specifics of how your dream is going to come to you. Because think about it. I was manifesting unknowingly living in Spain, but the other quote unquote specifics were more generic. They weren't necessarily unique to Spain. It was about a lifestyle. I was manifesting the freedom that came with owning your own business. I was manifesting the freedom of being able to travel at the drop of a hat. I was manifesting the feeling of utter relaxation as I hung out on a beach on like a Monday morning without a care in the world. That's what I was manifesting. And that's actually what I got. May not have been Spain. Maybe Spain will come in the future. Who knows what the future has in store? But everything else that I was manifesting came true in the form of a different city. But I still got the exact same thing I was craving. That same fantasy became real. So all to say, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Go ahead and just manifest. Have those thoughts. Let those feelings pour in, start to take aligned action, and the results will come through. That's it for this week's episode of the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @StephWharton_ for more valuable content. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts.